Hey everyone, welcome to Astro Protocol. I'm DisturbingPuppet. So what is Astro Protocol? It is a new game. It is coming out on the 8th, I believe, 8th or 9th. This is a sort of very quick 4X sci-fi strategy game. So in a way, kind of like a super quick version of playing like a big campaign of Master of Orion, something like that, but instead kind of condensed. So I've done the tutorial. I've done one playthrough with one of the factions. It took me about an hour to win that one. There's a certain number of victory points, kind of like Settlers of Catan, where you do certain things in order to get the victory points. Each one's worth a certain amount. You get to 6, you win. So then I started playing, and I recorded like an hour and a half gameplay of a faction, and got super close to the end. Actually, I think it was close to 2 hours, and my recording software crashed. So what we're going to do is take a look at the beginning of a game, and then I'm going to load where I was because it did autosave it, and then we'll kind of show you where things are kind of the end of a game. So it's going to end up being a shorter video than I initially intended, and showing you everything in the game and stuff I already went over. I do have a few things I would possibly suggest to add to the game, but I think they would actually slow it down. The whole point of this is it's a very fast 4X game. So there are different factions. They all play differently. They all have different things in them. So I'll quickly kind of look at that. So the faction that I was playing, the Thermortis generation, a lot of the text descriptions and stuff seem very, very odd in this game, and I'm not sure if some of it's translation or some of it is just that it kind of seems like the whole thing is set in a science simulation. It doesn't really explain this or set it up. And maybe that'll change by the time it's in 1.0. You can kind of see this is 0.21. So I'm assuming there'll be some changes. Maybe they'll be able to have some custom factions. Maybe there'll be some new factions, that kind of thing. That would be very cool. So this particular faction has a couple things going for them. So the main benefit that they have is they can pick from 3 research options under each category instead of 2. So that is quite helpful. Not super powerful, but it's all right. And then there's a pretty big negative here for them, Pax Universism. Ships out of network will always have 0 armor and shields. So you're just relying on your basic health to kind of tank stuff. So they're more of a turtling faction, or a faction that would advance fairly slowly depending on their network. And that's something we'll get into as I go forward and explain. The last faction that I played was the Yamono Legion, or Union. And they can colonize any planet they want to without having to terraform it first or anything. Super, super helpful. The anomaly blindness limits like their rewards, so there's always kind of a positive and negative, it seems like, for most of the factions. This isn't a huge negative, I'd say a very minor negative. I would say the negative here is much more. And I don't know if the research options make up for it, but, they were fine. And something I don't know for sure is that the tech seems different for each of the playthroughs I've had. I don't know if the tech is just randomized or if it is different for each faction. And then what your objectives are have been different in each of the 2 games I've played. So I don't know if that's randomized or if that is specific to the factions as well. It's definitely interesting. All right, so we'll take a look at where I started off, and then we'll take a look at where I ended in turn 34 with this faction. So I'm hoping that doesn't screw things up. But we'll jump in and take a look at things. So it is all the standard settings, kind of on medium, medium size of the planet, standard difficulty, all that kind of stuff. So this little weird wibbly-wobbly energy field here that we have is sort of where I have my influence for powering my ships, for building facilities, that kind of stuff. Up at the top, we've got my metal production, gas production. So metal mainly used for building facilities, which we place in these tiles. We can have 1 facility and 1 ship per tile maximum, or 1 colony. Some stuff will already have things like asteroid fields, which we mine for metals. Gas giants, this is gas that we mine for gas. Gas is mostly used for technology and research, but we can't do anything with it until we build a research station on one of the tiles. Now, when we research technology, we have to assign it to a planet or a research station, and there's only so many slots for each one. If we lose that technology. So that's kind of a negative. Power, so we get this by building solar stations next to stars, that kind of thing. If it's adjacent to, like this case, there's 1 asteroid field. If we mine from it, we get 1. If there was 2 adjacent to our thing that we built, we'd get 2. Same for stars, so 2 for the energy. So whether it's mining for metals, getting gas from gas giants, or getting power from suns, the more things adjacent, the better. There are things that we can build as well that will do things like, say for example, turning power into metal, turning metal into gas, turning gas into energy, that kind of thing. We could also build starports, which is where we can build stuff. The only place we can build things are starports. And then we have the extractors. There are other things we can get from technology, so we can't even do technology till we build a research station. If we start off with ships, we can only build the basic explorers. Most of the ships, it seems like, do only have, without technological upgrades anyway, a range of 1, so they can see 1 tile around them, and have attacks at 1 range. But there are things that have longer range. So carrier class ships often launch drone fighters at a range of 2. It just kind of depends on whether they show up in your tech tree or not. And I've seen ways in the tech tree to increase that range to 3. There's also things that will increase your shields, increase your armor, all that kind of stuff. Now for our faction, we only get shields and armor if we're inside our zone. So if we're outside of this, if I leave this, if I had shields, this basic explorer doesn't have any armor, doesn't have any shields. But if I did, and a lot of the most ships that I'm going to have later have it, you leave that zone, they lose it, so they just have their health. So they are a lot more vulnerable outside of that zone. Your ships can terraform, can colonize. Most of the ships, probably 99% of them, if they colonize a planet, the ship goes away. So the ship is used for the colonization process. Not for terraforming, but for colonization. If you attack, your turn ends, no matter how many actions you have. If you terraform or colonize, turn ends. Now, the pips here would be how many actions we would have. So we start with 2. So we can kind of look here. 6 attacks, 6 damage, so 36 total. 0 armor, 0 shields. 1 sensor range, 1 attack range, 2 action points, and various things here. So bombing a planet out of existence, terraforming, colonizing, interacting with anomalies is what this is for. So kind of little random events and stuff that pop up. The border of the universe is kind of this odd teal color, so we usually start up against one of the sides. So you kind of see this is where we start. So let me show you where I'm at later. Right near the very end of things. And we'll talk about objectives and victory points and that kind of stuff once we load into that. All right, welcome to the universe. This is all mine. Now, I still haven't won at this point. This is the longest game I've had so far. There are minor factions you can interact with, and I haven't interacted with a couple. One is left down here, the Collectors. So I could get them to like me and basically be on my side by collecting more gas than anybody else. So I think what happens is as soon as you have that, it'll kind of gives you a little briefing here on them if you want to look. So 30 gas required to reach an alliance. We are allied with them. I think what happens is that initially I think it was 20. As it goes up, as our production goes up, if somebody exceeds our production, they switch sides, I think. I'm not 100% sure that happens because the Sentinels were on my side during this campaign. Then they were not, and that happened a couple times. So I think that was something else that happened. So these guys have certain kinds of tech that they wanted. That's right. All right. So when we research stuff, when we research technology, this is our research facilities here. And you can kind of see little icons in here. So these are the technologies we have. If somebody takes this away from me, I lose those technologies. How do I lose them? They just move their ship into it. So you can kind of see I've got cruisers here that have 3 actions. So they could potentially take 3 territories away from the enemy just by moving over them. Doesn't take you an action to conquer them, you just park a ship on them. So if you notice, my territory is ringed with defensive ships. Pretty much my entire border is covered in ships to block things off, and I'm building more stuff. Starports here are where we build our ships and kind of reinforce. And then I've got some ships passed because I was doing some actions to take out some stuff. Now, where we're at, I have done a variety of things for victory points, but I'm not quite there yet. I'm sitting at 5 of 6 at this point. So what have I done? I have 48 stations. I needed 35. So that's these things that we build. Anything we build on an empty space is a station. Destroyed ships. I've destroyed 16 ships. I needed 15. That's an extra victory point. Prediction cycles were something that special buildings you research that once you have them, every turn they produce a certain number of prediction cycle points. So I had a whole bunch of those till we got to that. Then I replaced them with other stuff. So I replaced them. I had a bunch up here. So I replaced them with power collection, that kind of thing, because my power situation's gotten really bad. If we operate ships outside of my network, this mesh of power lines, it costs me an energy to do anything with them. A variety of other things do cost energy as well. So partially by pushing the war past my boundaries, I burned pretty much all of my energy. So what do I need to do to win at this point? Well, I just need to colonize 2 more planets, and I'm good to go. If I had done this earlier, I would have finished the game much faster. So if I had been able to put more of a priority on this, it would have been easier, but there's a lot of techs that you need to be able to terraform worlds into ones that you can actually occupy. In my case, my species can only colonize frozen worlds, or now with some tech, we have some other different kinds of worlds we can make into stuff. So like down here, I have a world. This was a lava planet. I turned it into a desert planet, and then I turned it into a special kind of hub planet. But I needed the tech to do each one of those steps to terraform them first, and then able to do it. You can't move through spaces with suns, so nobody can do that. So it's sort of a blocking method as you advance out. Asteroids again for mining, gas giants for gas, all that good stuff. Suns for power. Now, what am I doing at this point to try to colonize? Well, I was at peace with the Sentinels. This is the Sentinel homeworld right here. I can colonize it, so I ended up, because I just need planets and I can't reach that many that I can colonize, I decided we're just going to take care of that whole situation. So what I need to do is colonize this on my next turn. So I think I've done everything. So this put me back, I think, a turn from where I was near the end. And you can kind of see all of this stuff being mined with ships past. Again, we can't really operate ships past it. We're going to have to wait. So I think this is... Yeah, I think that's the next thing I need to do. Out here, I do have a frozen world I can colonize, but I don't have the energy to do it, so it's not an option. I just terraformed it, I think. Or no, I just parked on it. We bombed it out and destroyed it. So we have that one, we've got this one. If I can get those 2, is that good enough? I think that's it. I just need 2 more, right? Yeah, I just need 2 more. So if I just do that, we're good to go. But I do need a lot more energy, which I changed a bunch of stuff up here. So this actually, yeah, is back a turn because I still have these. So it did save all of that, but it is back a turn from where we were. My fleets, I think, are fine for our positioning and where we're at. We might lose something here or there. The guys who are past the border are just going to have to deal with the whole situation that they're in. Yeah, so let's go ahead and let this run. I'm just going to skip everybody because we have a nice solid wall of ships. So because the ships can just take things over from you, you do kind of want a large number of ships, but then you've got problems with power, like I've had. I think it would be interesting if it took an action to take a territory away, but that would slow this game down a lot. And it is kind of designed to be a really, really fast 4X campaign game. So these are my allies down here, fighting another one of the factions who've moved in their territory. They're also cruising around various different spots in the universe, causing potential issues. There's a last Sentinel ship there, which were kind of parked on their homeworld. So, we're at 5. We just need 1 more, but I have to colonize systems. I do only have a couple power. I think I can colonize here. Yeah, so we can colonize. Let's go ahead and just do it. I lose the ship, but extends my network out like crazy. So now I have all these that I can take over. Even if I've moved on them and took them over, before they're connected to my network, I can't really do much. Stuff in my network, we're fine, but everything else is kind of a bit of a problem. Out here, frozen planet, going to cost me 3 energy. Can't do it right now. Oh well. When it comes to technology, all kinds of stuff now, it's costing up to 20 gas. And I've got just tons of metal, which is building stuff, building facilities. I've filled up all my spots. I wasn't able to build much for a while, and then ships were causing problems. So what do we have up here for options? Stealth to cruisers. Things like increased damage of all ships. Grants pursuit vector to all cruiser class ships. What does that do? Retain an action point when destroying an enemy ship. That's pretty darn good. Usually once you fight, you're done. All shields of ships go up. Armor of all ships goes up. Conversion protocols for carriers. I don't even have any carriers, so not really something I'm concerned about. Action points of cruisers go up. Action points of carriers go up. Action points of battleships go up. So my battleship specifically for this faction can't move and attack in the same turn. So they're very, very defensive. Whereas the other faction that I played before, the Yamino, who could colonize anything, their battleships didn't work that way. So it just kind of depends on which faction you're playing. So we now can make moves and grab some more territory, and we should be able to finish this off pretty quickly. Next turn, as long as I don't get destroyed here, and keep in mind I'm past my range, so I have no armor and shields on my ship here. If he survives, we can just colonize this, and we're good. We're done. We win. Nobody can stop me. All right, so let's go ahead and advance on out. I'm going to stay inside my range here, though. So as long as we're inside my network, we're fine. So we can expand out the borders here a bit. Where was that sentinel at? Oh, he's down over there. All right. We'll just kind of block this off a bit. Still have some little baby ships here and there. I don't know if I activate you if it's going to cost an action, because I didn't start inside my connection zone, so probably it would. So I think I'm just going to leave you there. Extend you out. We'll just kind of stay along here. We've got a nice border going. So I think we're fine with all of that. I don't think I need to build any more stuff. So my different planets do produce different resources, of course, depending on what they are. We can specialize for certain things. I could have actually converted some of these frozen planets into different special classes if I wanted to. I just never bothered. Lots of interesting tech, lots of interesting stuff you can do. So I think for what this game is, a very fast 4X campaign game, it's very good. It's very cool. It's very compelling. I do like it. The things I can think about that would be interesting to do, I think would be nice potentially to have as optional. So if you wanted to set up a game, like give you the option of maybe like use an action to take over something like that. But I think it would definitely slow the game down a lot. And readability, if you zoom way out, can be a little hard for me. Partially, I wonder if that's just the colors not being as distinct as I would like. Maybe it's a personal problem. I'm not sure. But I do think this is a very good 4X strategy game for what it is, for like a quick, dirty, not dirty, it's not dirty, a very quick and fast to the action, very, very focused on your specific objectives, as opposed to a lot of other games that are just more like wipe everybody out. So I do think it's a lot of fun. I don't know how much this is going to retail for. If this is $20 or less, absolutely. So when it comes out on, like, I think it's February 8th, I would definitely recommend this if you like 4X games. Like I said, I love Master of Orion 1 and 2, so this is really right up my alley. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead, skip everything. We're just going to jump ahead. I'm not going to do anything crazy. We don't have to do any fighting. We're just holding the line, holding the border. And maybe I'll do some fighting here as things progress before we colonize the last thing that I need. We do have some of these guys cruising in trying to grab territory, which I'm not appreciative of, I would have to say. God, I've got so much metal. It's crazy. All right, so yeah, we've got plenty of energy coming in now, so we're at plus 11. These guys are trying to close us off. Yeah, I'm not going to have that. So let's go ahead and launch a bit of an offensive here. You're just, what? An explorer. Just a basic explorer class. Let's just kill you. Not a one-shot kill. You could see the damage estimate beforehand for both of us. So it wasn't quite... If it was a kill, it would be like a red little X like that. So we kill you before you get to do anything. Take you out. We automatically move into a space if we take somebody out. Now, this might extend out again once we move through here. I'm just going to go ahead and just grab some stuff in this general area. Take some of the stuff back from them. Let's move on out. Anything connected to my network, as far as I'm concerned, is mine. The only space we can't move to, I think I said, is the stars, so it does create a bit of some obstacles here and there. My battleships, which are these ones, can't move and attack. So that is a potential negative, but they can be a nice bulwark for us and defensive force. Do I want any interesting tech before we go crazy here at the end? The extra shields is definitely interesting. So yeah, let me show. So now we have options. I can put this on that. I've got a new research facility I built back here. So I do tend to kind of tuck away my research stuff in the back wall of my empire to try to keep it safe. Because if somebody does move on there, we just lose the technology, which is really, really bad. Anyway, let's go ahead. We are still in our zone here. Let's go ahead and start with you. Oh, no action points. Never mind. You're a little beat up. Not quite a kill. I've got a special ability with my cruisers here. Normally, if you attack a ship, they will counterattack over and over and over again, no matter how many attack them. They get a single counterattack each. But if I attack you with a cruiser, one of my special cruisers, you don't get a counterattack. And if you attack first, and you blow somebody up, of course, they don't get a counterattack either. They're just dead. I'm just going to do whatever I want before we try to colonize here, Luther's Maw, which should finish the game, I would think. Now, I might want to fill that gap. You can kind of see the color isn't full until we build something here. So we can build something here. We're between a gas giant and a star. We do have a spot here for some stuff. I think I was literally doing exactly this, building a solar power plant to throw right there when my recording software crashed last time. So we get that. Everything that you build can't activate the turn you build it. So we don't get any resources from stuff we build. Ships can't move the turn we build it. The next turn we can do stuff with it. And the next turn it'll collect. The next turn it'll work. Do whatever it needs to. Oh, we've got one of these down here. I think this was outside. Yeah, so this was in their territory. So they're trying to work. This is the one that creates the generation points. So I've already met that. They're trying to do it themselves. But we've now taken this over. It's now mine. Because it's inside my zone of influence. So I do have a spot here. We could build more stuff if we want to. I mean, we might as well. How about a starport right there so we can build ships there if we want to? Like I said, it's not really going to matter. We're just going to wipe these guys out. Now, as long as I'm starting inside my area, I do have my shields. But if I leave, I'm losing my shields and my armor. And my battleships here can't move and attack. But my cruiser, fly on out here, I still do have my shields. Because I started inside of my network. And you can just mop this up without a problem. Unless we need to colonize this planet. No, that's a lava planet. Well, yeah, we're fine. You don't need to colonize this right now. But because I activated him outside of my zone, any ship I activate outside of this network did cost me energy up front. So something to kind of watch for, be careful of, all that kind of stuff. And your ships automatically move into a zone if you take it over or kill whoever was there. So you're creeping up on them, which I'm not super happy about. We'll go ahead and throw some fire your way. Despite being a battleship, my battleships are mainly just tanks. They don't do a huge amount of damage, but there's tech that you can get that will increase damage, that kind of stuff. My cruisers actually do probably the most, and I've been building just a ton of cruisers. So said, looking back, I control what, like a third of the galaxy here at this point, and we still haven't gotten our victory points. But, well, okay, let's look at this first. If I hadn't, we could still terraform. Let's go here. So Helionis is a lava planet. So you can kind of see in the lower left, lava, center planet of the map. This is a special objective for some of the factions. I had this with my last run, was hold the center planet of the map for 5 turns, which I did, so it gave me some extra victory points. So it's a lava planet. I can't live on lava planets. So this is the terraforming menu. So I can live on stuff that has a flag. This is what this is currently. So I've got tech where I could make this into a desert planet, and then a desert into a hub, then I could colonize it. I don't currently have the tech to go to an industrial planet, so you can see you don't have the technology required. And here I don't have the technology to make it a generator planet either, and I don't have the technology to make it a barren planet. My ideal planet are frozen, and then we can make frozen into other stuff too if we want to. We just need the tech for it. But I do have this path because I already did colonize a lava world and research the tech. So if I wanted to, I can spend some gas, which is also what we use for research, to go ahead and turn this into a desert planet. Now I can't colonize a desert planet, but it gets me one step closer. Even if I had more than one action, I could still only do one step of terraforming a turn. It just ends my turn. Kind of like fighting, ends your turn. So since it's not going to cost me energy, we could go ahead and do that. So why not? We'll spend some gas. It'll even give you a warning. You can't live on this. Do you sure you want to do it? Yeah, we'll go ahead and do it. That's fine. For ships now, I do have the basic explorers. We've got my disruptor cruisers and my battleships. Nothing else. I really haven't researched much else. I don't think much else popped up for me research-wise for other ships. I think there were other kinds of cruisers, like other specialized cruisers and battleships, I think. Do I have any? No, I don't even have any. So it does kind of change each time you go through, and I'm not sure how it's deciding what to change, because some of the stuff will be here and then be gone if you don't pick it up after a little while. And I think it just relates to the next research you've done might, within one of these, the other two will drop off and be replaced with something else. Sometimes it seems like just the one that you used will be replaced, but other times it seems like they change. So I'm not 100% sure on that. So if you do have tech you really, really want, you might want to prioritize that over other things. So I think I've given a pretty good, a very, very quick overview of this game. Like I said, I was enjoying this a lot. I was playing through this entire thing from the very beginning. I recorded like at least an hour and a half, probably 2 hours, which is a bit long for a video, of course. But I was having fun playing it and kind of lost track of time and got super, super close to the end. This is a ship that I picked up near the beginning from a special event. So this Invader, it's like a modified battleship, but it can colonize planets without being destroyed. So it does have kind of a cool additional thing on it. So that's the colony pods here. So there's all kinds of neat things like that. You can also pick these up from some technology if you research it. So all I have to do to win, I believe, is colonize Virexa. We can go ahead and do it. It's going to cost me 3. 1 to activate the ship. We're good. That should be the end of things. Let's go ahead and do it. Okay, it didn't end immediately. And the lead with 5 victory points. Victory is close. You've reached the required victory points. You'll win if you can keep them until the start of your next turn. Okay, so the enemy does have a chance, probably because it's planets, to like blow up or steal one of my planets. Now, bombarding a planet, you do have to take an action on it. You can move on to the planet, then you start a bombardment action. And then if you aren't destroyed before the next turn, the planet is destroyed and becomes a barren planet. You don't immediately take it over. So even if someone did try to blow up one of my planets, they're not going to have much success. So it did extend my field out a bit. I think we just park somebody on. I mean, he's very, very weak, but it stops someone from just flying in for free. I think we're fine. Let's take a look. So we're actually at 8 victory points when we only need 6. The Yamato unit are dead. Airdy system are the light green guys we have running around down here. And then we're allied with the collectors And then these Sentinels, I think they just have one ship. They might have a planet. I saw them earlier fighting something down here. They might only have just that ship left. I think we're just going to go ahead and call it. And that should be it. I don't think anybody can stop me from winning. So cultivators are still fighting down there. They're poking at my defenses, looking around. There we go, victory. You've won by reaching 6 victory points. 37 turns, moderate difficulty. And you can keep going if you want to. You want to wipe everybody out. But I feel like it does become a little bit difficult to control when it gets super big, which is fine for a game that's designed to be like kind of shorter. I think some of that is visibility issues for me. The colors not being quite as distinct. But it's definitely a very compelling game. I really get sucked into it. Like I was trying to look at like, oh, I can get the destroyed for 1, and I've got the stations. It's only 3. Even if I was trying to do the prediction cycles and focusing on that. It was like, but even that's only gonna get me to 5. Crap, what am I gonna do? Like, oh, I gotta find artifacts. So artifacts are things that you find in anomalies. But once the other factions have spread around, each anomaly can only be interacted with once. So if they've already done it, you might not have anything come up. And the only reason I have 1 is probably because I took a research station that somebody had that had an anomaly in it. So that's another thing. If someone has anomalies, you can steal them by stealing their research stations. So we did end up getting 1 somehow there. And then I was looking at, planets was the only way I could really do it. Home planets are taking over planets that were the original home base of other different factions. I don't know if the minor factions are included in that. I think it's got to be because we took 1. Yeah, it's got to be because we took the Sentinel's homeworld, and then I took the homeworld of the Yamono. So it's got to count those as well. So that might be a way to get in there as well. But even then, if you did that, only getting 3 points for wiping out a couple minor factions. I think my first game there were 3 minor factions, and what was it? 3 or 4 major factions, I think. But yeah, definitely a very cool game. I've had fun with it. It's very, very compelling. I've definitely enjoyed my time playing around with it. I'd like to see the rest of the universe. But we're going to go ahead and call it. And this was the medium size. I feel like it could get really unwieldy if you went for really large, but you could definitely do it. And there's actually a lot of difficulty options. So medium, which is kind of the standard, is actually only like the second tier difficulty. So you can make the AI a lot smarter than what they were in my run. And I mean, the art's a little funny, but definitely a compelling, interesting, and fun game. All right, this has been Astro Protocol. I've been DisturbingPuppet. Just kind of a shame that the whole video got messed up on my recording software. So just kind of giving you a quick look at everything. And now it's not going back to the main page. But this is still like an early version of the game. So if there are a few little bugs here and there, it should be worked out by the time it's out on the 8th. Definitely worth checking out. And if it's, like I said, $20 or less, absolutely perfect price for this kind of a game to jump into and play a campaign through in like one afternoon. You got like 2 hours, an hour to 2 hours to kill. Definitely something to do. All right, this has been Astro Protocol. I've been DisturbingPuppet. Thanks for coming by. Hopefully I'll see you next time. Until then, have a good one.